What's up everybody, and welcome to another video. In today's video I wanted to talk about something that I don't think really got enough spotlight in my recent videos, and it's something that I got at Blade Show 2022, and that would be my Squid Industries Production 5 Tsunami. Now this thing honestly has grown on me so much over the past bit of me actually owning it. I said this in the interview with Camaro Ethan and Ty Telestro over on their channel. You can check that out. But yeah, this thing is honestly gorgeous. The reason I picked it up is because I was, looking at the table that Squid Industries had set up, and I was like, hey, if there's anything that like really calls out to me, maybe I'll buy that. But otherwise, I'm not really looking to buy anything. And then I got up there and I saw this beauty, and yeah, I mean, look at this beautiful blurple finish. It's got blue and purple all throughout it, like in the reflections and stuff. I don't know, it's gorgeous. And so that finish immediately called out to me, and so I picked it up and I flipped it open and I looked, and it said Production 5 number 169, and I was like, well, I think that counts, and so I bought it. And yeah, I have honestly been loving this thing ever since I bought it, and I'm really impressed. I think that my initial review of the Tsunami was a little cynical, and it was very much based around the price, how much this thing costs. It's very, very expensive, all things considered. But I think it may have also been a little bit unfair because of that, because as I was focusing on price, and I think one of the main reasons I was focusing on price is that Squid Industries is well known for being a manufacturer of cheaper entry-level options, right? They have expensive stuff, like the Cracker-Akin is not cheap by any means, being around $250, but it's also a pretty dang good price for what, nice quality you get. And so when I was initially reviewing this thing, I think I was thinking about it that way and being like, oh yeah, well, it's very expensive for a Squid Industries product. But what I wasn't doing is I wasn't really considering what it is beyond being a Squid Industries product. And to consider that, I think, is very important. So something here that I've noticed over the time is just thinking about the intricacies in terms of the machining for this thing. The tolerances on this are incredible, and the machining required is really, really next level. To get these beautiful mill marks in the blade, that is entirely intentional, and that is not because they can't get it ground by hand or because they can't do it or they're lazy or whatever, they can't make it look smooth and perfect. It's actually a lot cheaper to make it look smooth and perfect than it is to give it this beautiful milling texture. That milling texture is entirely intentional. I was talking to Dalen, Machine-Wise, about the knife that he manufactures, the Serif, and he was talking about how those machine lines, he really wanted to try to get that, but unfortunately it was destroying his milling bits and making each one of his knives much more expensive to produce than, was really going to turn a profit, and so he had to get rid of doing those milling marks. So those milling marks are actually more expensive than you would think in terms of production process. Similarly, the texture on the faces of each one of these handles is just absolutely incredible and such a small and precise thing. And then once you get to the inside of each one of these, you notice that that's even more true. The insides of each one of these is like a bunch of intricate details in terms of everything inside of it. The hidden Zen pins and everything happening in here is really, really small detail, really, really high, craftsmanship stuff. And then finally, the thing that I completely just didn't really talk about is now they're doing jeweling on the inside of each one of these handles, and so the insides of every handle is jeweled, and I believe that's done by hand. I believe they have a little tool for that, and you have to kind of use it like a you're doing that by hand essentially. And so they're jeweling the insides of these things one by one for each one of these things, and then it's not even taking into account this really, really beautiful anodization, which obviously not all of them come with a beautiful anodization. You do have to pay slightly extra for that. But, I mean, it all comes together to be a really, really compelling package. And I don't know, I think I maybe was a little too tough on it the first time that I talked about the Tsunami and what it is and what it can do. I think I was really jaded about the fact that it was super expensive and not necessarily about the fact that it is a work of art and it was made to be very expensive. Because that's the whole thing, right? Is that they produced this and created it to be an expensive knife. You know, this thing is supposed to perform like a sports car, and it does. I said that the flipping was a little bit weird when I first tried it, and I still think that might be true for people who try it for the first time after coming from different knives, but to some degree, Squid Industries kind of changed the game in terms of what a Balisong can and should be with the Tsunami. The Tsunami being lighter has pushed almost every other maker to start creating lighter knives because they realized how many people really do like this flipping experience with a lighter Balisong that can perform more intricate tricks more quickly and, like, you know, create this really interesting, intricate, beautiful, flowy style. And that's just something that I haven't seen around on other Balisongs, at least not in this same way or in this same type of quality. So yeah, honestly, I think I may have been a little jaded when we first made that review, and I might end up kind of updating the BS score to reflect that. But yeah, this thing is, it's really, really grown on me. I've been flipping it a ton, and honestly, the funny part is, inside of my personal collection, between the knives that I've been flipping the most, currently, the one that I've been flipping the most is between this one and my Seraph. Literally from day to day, I will go and I will either be flipping this guy or I'll be flipping my Seraph. And then the only other one that really is in that, like, circulation in terms of, like, really active getting daily flipping is going to be my Cracker-Akin. And so, like, between those three Balisongs, they've, you know, I have a large collection, obviously, but those three have been the ones that I just continuously keep coming back to and keep playing with and, like, really enjoying. And I think it's kind of funny that that's become the case, but it's true. That's how I feel. That's how I've kind of found myself ending up, is just playing with either this thing or the Seraph 9 times out of 10 whenever I go over to my wall and pick something up. It's one of those two. And so, yeah, honestly, I'm kind of sorry to Lucas for dunking on his really, really, really wonderful product so early on, because I couldn't see the light. But I think that's kind of something cool about Squid Industries, and I know that I do this or I know that I suck their dick a lot. You know, I get it. It's fine. You can call me a Squid fanboy. I am. But this thing, it's very interesting to see the dynamic of what the Balisong community prefers, you know, swing in such interesting directions. For instance, with this guy, like, obviously you can have a nice handle bias. It's fully adjustable with a weight system inside of here. I have my opinions about that weight system, especially because all of these screws are made of titanium, which means they're relatively easy to strip, and so taking it apart to get to that weight system is a bit of a pain in the butt compared to the Seraph, where it's very easy to get to the weight system and not have to worry about damaging the knife. But I digress. The actual flippability of this thing is just off the charts. And I think something else to note that I really didn't take into account as much as I should have before when I was talking about this versus the Seraph is that while I do really, really, really love my Seraph, the actual ergonomics of it compared to the Tsunami are like night and day. Like, this is legitimately the most comfortable Balisong I have ever put in my hand. And I talked about that in the initial review, like how, you know, sometimes I just find myself stroking it like a cat, or that touching it feels like you're touching a sports car, and I believe in all of that still. I completely agree with that take. But now, having flipped it, like really, really, really flipped it and had it in my personal collection, and it not being my one made of trash, but being a full production 5 Tsunami, it's just next level, the ergonomics. Like, the roundness of the handles is somehow perfectly matched with the flat sides and squareness. It's like perfectly round but perfectly square at the same time. It's got just, it's undescribable how nice it feels. The placement of the cutouts is perfect for the grip for almost any trick I try to do. Like, everything just works perfectly. And that's all I can kind of do to describe it. Like, I genuinely don't know what else to say other than it really feels so comfortable to flip that it's kind of obnoxious. You know, I think the Seraph is a very, very good experience, but it also doesn't have perfect comfortability for me. It's too square. It's very square, and so, like, you know, that makes it easier to machine, and that also fits with Dalen's preferences more, because Dalen prefers a more square knife, and so obviously the maker is going to be reflected in the product they create. But for me, while I do like the square, I think it is a bit too square for my personal everyday use. If I had one Balisong in my entire collection, it would probably be a Tsunami. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the longer I've spent with it, the more I'm just like, oh my god, I really like this thing. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk about that. That's kind of been my post-Blade Show revelation / experience. It's like, I've honestly liked this thing way more than I ever thought I would, and woo, that was scary. Way more than I ever thought I would, and that's kind of been a shocker to me. I'm really glad that I added it to my collection the way that I did, and yeah, I'm really impressed with what Squid Industries has been doing in terms of defining what a Balisong can and should be, and I'm excited to see what they do in the future, like with the swordfish that's coming up. Like, I think that thing's going to be insane. Also, speaking of the Hydro, if you don't remember from Blade Show, that also has the adjustable weight system, and it's going to be cheaper than the Tsunami, and honestly, it might even flip better than the Tsunami, and the reason I say that is because it'll have a very similar balance. I don't think it'll be as comfortable in the hand, because like this Chanwich rounded thing is just insane, but I do think it'll perform incredibly well, especially from my experience at Blade Show this year, you know, touching the most recent prototype. So yeah, that thing is definitely something to look out for. But also, real quick, can I just say, listen to this. Like, it's a higher pitched sound than my Serif, but the buzz when it goes bzz, like together, it's the most satisfying thing in the world. And believe me, it feels amazing when you close it like that too. So yeah, this thing is really, really awesome. And yeah, that's kind of my rant for today, is talking about the Tsunami and how much I like it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you all enjoy your endeavor to get whatever your next grail may be. But anyways, that's pretty much it for now. So peace. Thanks for watching.